Extremely excited about our opportunity to be here at the regional, playing against a very good Miami team. From the time that we've got here, it's been nothing but first class. The people have taken care of us. The people of Toledo have taken care of us very, very well. We appreciate Bowling Green University being the host, and again, they have done a great job as far as taking care of us. So, again, we're excited about it. We look forward to being able to recover a little bit tonight after skate and get after it tomorrow.
If you have a question, raise your hand, and the gentleman with the microphone here will bring it over to you.
For both players, can you just talk about this experience for you guys so far, just in the first day or the first couple of days here in Toledo?
Yeah, it's pretty exciting for all the guys. Obviously, we've been treated really well up to this point, and we'll continue to do so throughout the weekend. I think the guys are just really excited to be here to compete, and we're really excited for the games this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Eriah Hayes. We've been treated like royalty so far, and it's been great. We're excited to be here and just keep going.
Guys, can you just, to add on to that, will you talk a little bit about the facility? I know you haven't been in for very long, but the facility, the ice, things like that.
The facility, it just got built, I think, 4 years ago is what they told us, and it's a great facility. The locker room is amazing. It's big enough. Everything's been first class all the way so far. The ice was pretty good, and it's been skated out a lot today, so it's a little beat up, but it's been a good experience so far.
Yeah, the boys are excited to play here this weekend. Obviously, it's a really nice facility. The locker room's unreal. We got some ice tubs in there, stuff like that. Treating us really well, so it's been really good.
For anybody up there, can you talk about what you guys see in Miami and maybe who they closely remind you of that you guys played this year?
I'll take the first part of that, and guys, if you've got something you want to add, please feel comfortable. The one thing about Miami I think that sticks out right away is that they're as sound defensive team as there is in the country. Most teams that are successful at this time of the year emulate some of the things that they've done well throughout the season. They're built from the goaltender out. Both goalies have got outstanding credentials as far as what their numbers have been. They both come from successful programs previous to getting Miami. Second thing is they've got some special players too. I think when you look at Zarnik, you look at Riley, Barber, they're guys that are difference makers. They've been recognized as that from the CCHA, and I just think they play a style where they don't mind getting up and down the rink, but they're going to be responsible with what they're doing. And obviously, we've got a power play that has helped us be successful this year. They've got a penalty kill that has defined them a little bit. And so, as it is every year at this time of the year, you're going to, the difference between winning and losing is going to be a small margin. And I've got a lot of respect for Miami University, how they run their program, and the success that they've had in the CCHA, and we look forward to the opportunity of playing them.
They remind you guys of anybody of what you've seen on tape that you played this year?
I would say, from what I've seen on tape, they're a fast team. They push the pace. I would probably compare them to Providence. Providence was a really fast team. Like I said, they push the pace, and I guess that's as close as a comparison I could find.
Guys, you had a really slow start in league play. Will you talk a little bit about what the catalyst was for the turnaround? Was there something, or what was the catalyst for the turnaround?
We sort of actually just had this conversation the other day, just looking back at where we're at right now in the season, and as a team, we've sort of, took us a little while to come figure it out, and we think the Denver series is where we played two hard games at home, but we ended up getting swept at home, and that night, I think we came together more as a family, and that's what we talked about since day one, and realized that we're going to have to, we do have a good team, we have a solid team, we just have to work together, and that was the weekend I think that everybody can agree that everybody started to buy in and started to turn our season around in our minds.
This is for either of the players. Would you say that this is the biggest game up to your hockey career so far, or how does it compare to other games you've been in?
Yeah, I would say it's probably the biggest game of our career. Obviously, we haven't been to the national tournament before, so that's pretty special. But we're kind of taking it just like another game, same kind of game plan. Got to approach it the same, and go in with the thought that it's just another game, like a league game, and play like we can.
Mike, can you talk about how, just based on what they just said, when you're at a tournament like this, an event like this where they haven't been before, how do you keep them to treat it like any other game, as they say?
Well, I think really with that, you've got to look at the other people that are here. Even though there are programs that are here that have been to regionals before, there's a lot of guys on each team. You look at Miami, for instance. There's a lot of guys on that roster that haven't been in an NCAA regional before. A lot of these guys come from junior programs or high school programs or midget programs where every year that is what really is the thing that binds these guys together, is their like experiences. Now, there are some other programs here, Miami, one of them, Notre Dame, that have some guys that have gone through this before. But just because you've been here, it doesn't guarantee you success. And because you've never been here, it doesn't mean that you're going to fall on your face. It's an opportunity. And that's what we talk about being excited about, because you know what, there's only 16 teams in the country that have an opportunity to play either today or tomorrow. And to look at that for what it is, respect it, appreciate it, but then actually go back and do what you've been doing since you got together at the beginning of October, the end of September. That really hasn't changed. The mindset hasn't. We've tried to progress. We've tried to get better. I think we've done that. But now, hence a new challenge. We've got a new season, and we're just trying to embrace that.
Coach, for those of us who haven't seen your team this year and we're learning about your season, will you talk a little bit about the circumstance that led you to use Williams in that?
Sure. We were batting about 865, 870 between the posts before that weekend. And again, all successful teams have a certain catalyst that you have to build around. In baseball, it's pitching, and in football, it might be your quarterback or your defense. Well, in hockey, it's between the posts. And we were really trying to find ourselves. I thought we were doing a lot of good things, even though we were 1-5. And the one thing that we were looking for was just somebody that'd give us an opportunity that when they went out there every night, that they'd stop the ones that they should, and maybe steal a couple they shouldn't. And it was after that weekend that the young men have described up here when we played Denver, went out to practice on that Monday and looked at Steph and just said, Steph, you know what, you're going to go this weekend. So I usually don't tell our guys until Thursday or Friday. You know, and I looked at Steph and said, you know, it's your opportunity. You decide what you're going to do with it. He had a great week. And then when we ended up sweeping Wisconsin in Wisconsin, I thought not only did he gain some confidence from that experience, but I think our guys did too.
So, guys, will you talk? I assume you did gain confidence from the way that Steph played.
Yeah, he's when he went, we didn't know right away, but obviously he's proven to everybody that he's a solid goaltender, and especially being a defenseman, having him in nets, it's I know he's my trust back there. If it happens to get beat, he's going to be there to help me out, and I think the whole team feels like that. And he's just he's sort of the, like Coach said, the catalyst to all of us, believing in him and then playing from him out, and it's been good to have him back there.
Mike, Jeff Jackson said this might be the toughest regional of the four. Would you agree with that, with the four teams that are here?
It's not a cakewalk. You know, when you go ahead and you look at the bodies of work of all four programs, there's some special peaks. There are some valleys. You look at Notre Dame going through what they went through in January, and I talked to Jeff a little bit about that before we went on our skate. And, same thing with us starting the way that we started in November. St. Cloud going through their woes non-conference season. And Miami having a young team, not knowing exactly what they're going to have between the posts, and relying on some of these young guys early to come in. And then you go ahead and you flip that, and Miami wins the CCHA. Notre Dame wins the CCHA playoffs. St. Cloud State wins the WCHA. And we have to fight all the way through the end of the last weekend to make sure that we're playing. Even though we'd had a very good season, we could have finished from first to seventh in the last 2 weekends. So going back to your question, I do think this is a quality field. They're battle tested. They're programs that I think are playing the right way as far as being able to move on. And you're going to have to put a pretty good product out there to move on just a Sunday, not let alone try and get to the Final Four and get into Pittsburgh.
Coach, to switch a gear for a second, the WCHA is obviously going to change pretty dramatically. You're going to add a team in Bowling Green that's just a few miles down the road. Will you talk a little bit about the emotions of the way the WCHA is changing, the teams that are coming in and things like that?
First of all, you know, we're still going to end up focusing on what is the WCHA up until this point, and until we move on into that next stage next year. But, you know, from my standpoint, and talking about Bowling Green right away, you go ahead and you look at the progress that Coach Bergeron has made in that program in his short time there. And you look at the history of NCAA championships with Northern Michigan, with Lake State, programs that are going to be made up of the new WCHA, Final Four appearances by Bemidji State. You know, that's something that I look at. The players get asked that, and the coaches get asked that quite a bit. We're going to deal with what we're dealt. You know, and there's certain decisions that we control, which is what we try and talk about every day, and there's certain decisions that don't. We'll move on to that. We're very proud of being part of the WCHA, what it is today and what it's going to be tomorrow, because you go ahead and you look at history, and I think the WCHA's got a pretty proud and rich history. We're going to try to continue to build on that in the new WCHA, and that's no disrespect to the NCHC, Hockey East, or the Big Ten. The game that we're playing is pretty special. There's a lot of good hockey players out there, a lot of good programs, and we're excited about where we're at, and we're excited about where we're going and who we're going to be associated with down the road.
Any further questions for Coach?
Of course. Sorry, Mike. Coach, if you would just talk a little bit, you mentioned your first year in this program. I mean, was this on your horizon? I mean, was this part of your expectations or dreams that this could be possible of reaching the tournament in your first year?
From my side, I'll talk about from my side first, and then you can ask these guys, just because they're the ones that have done all the heavy lifting and all the work. When we met the first time after I had received the position and had an opportunity to talk about goals, and what our expectations for the season were going to be, and what it was going to be on a daily, weekly, monthly calendar. You know, our first goal was to get home ice in the WCHA, which I know doesn't sound like a huge accomplishment, but I'm going to tell you, until you have to go through it and dig the ditch, that's a pretty good accomplishment. And we did that. And the great thing about the guys that are sitting next to me, they've been the ones that have driven this bus from the time that we got together, and made sure that the guys weren't satisfied once we got home ice. Our next goal was to try and get to the Final Five. We did that in a very tough series against a very good UNO hockey team. And ended up getting down and having an opportunity to play the University of Wisconsin, who I think is one of the best teams in the NCAA right now, as far as the streak that they're on, and didn't show ourselves as well as we would have liked. And for the first time all year, those next couple of days were difficult because this group had done a good job at dictating what their future was going to be by their actions. And we had to sit back and wait for other people's actions. You know, we had to see who was going to win and who wasn't. And we were just hopeful that we were going to have an opportunity as a group to get back together and have the chance that we're going to have tomorrow. But that it is a goal that we set at the beginning of the year. And again, these guys have done a good job, and I'm planning on the same thing with this group. Once they've achieved one, they moved on to the next. They didn't look back and pat themselves on the back on getting home ice or getting to the Final Five, and we sure as heck haven't patted ourselves on the back getting beat 7-2 by Wisconsin, and we want to make everything that we can of this opportunity.
Coach said I could ask you, so.
I thought you were done.
Yeah, you thought I was done. Coach said I could ask you, so I will ask. I mean, did you see this as possible in Coach's first year?
If you would have told me last year at this time that we'd be playing in the national tournament, I don't know if I would have believed you. We've been through a lot. Obviously, the last couple of years, been finishing towards the bottom of the WCHA. It's been pretty tough on us, but you know, we needed change, and we got that with Coach. And you know, I think we were just ready to buy in, and you know, we were ready to make a change, not only for ourselves but for the university. And to be part of that change as a senior is pretty special.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with him. You know, if we would have been asked this at the end of last year, at the beginning of the summer, when we all went back to work, it would have seemed pretty far from where we finished last year. But from day one, Coach, he had us all on the same page and had us all buying in. And obviously, it took us a little while, but we all figured it out. And it's great to be here now and hopefully finish off a good 4 years here.
Okay, if there are no additional questions, just a reminder, the Minnesota State locker room is open to the media until approximately 3:45. If you have any additional requests or questions about the program, Paul Allen, Minnesota State Associate AD for Communications, sitting here in the second.